So this morning when I woke up, the first words I heard myself say to myself, that is thought, is back to work today. And then I thought that's strange because I just taught a 6-day reflective meditation retreat, albeit I did have a couple of days off on Monday and yesterday. So on Monday, Susie spontaneously spoke about her experience as a retreatant at this retreat. And this morning, I'm going to speak about my experience as a teacher and also as a retreatant. And that's the lovely part. I get to both be on teach the retreat and be on retreat myself. I get to settle into the relative silence. I get to meditate often. I get to be sequestered from the usual demands of life. So there were the demands of writing Dharma talks and facilitating the group. So probably as most of you know, a retreat is an immersive experience. Teaching is the way I contribute. Others help. They wash the dishes, they chop the vegetables, they clean the bathrooms. My chore, I don't think of it that way because it's a labor of love, but mine is teaching. And a labor of love for the Dharma and for the retreatants. That word love was often used at the closing circle. It did feel like a lot of love circled around our retreat. So supposedly in one translation, these were the final words that the Buddha spoke before his death. Things fall apart. Tread the path with care. We often quote that. This retreat was full with care. Each of us deeply taking care of ourselves and also the group caring for one another. This retreat was an immersion in care. Most of the people who attended were baby boomers. We had a handful of Gen Xers and we had one millennial. And us baby boomers were dealing with the challenges of old age. We could say the direct experience of things fall apart. And Linda and I, as teachers, were well aware of this and felt going into it that this probably would be the last in-person retreat we taught. After all, online retreats are easier and in many ways, easier administratively, although they demand a lot of administrative work, easier for dealing with the physical needs of the retreatants. Though at the end of this in-person retreat, several people long for another in-person retreat next year. A few volunteered to help Susan McIntosh with administration, which is sorely needed. Or maybe I should say help for Linda and Susan McIntosh is sorely needed. And we questioned and found out there were good medical facilities nearby, which relieved Linda and I because we were a little on edge. What if there was a medical emergency? How would we deal with it? So we went ahead and tentatively planned another in-person retreat at this retreat center for June 2025. Because I must add, this retreat center really was beautiful and really met our needs, which I have researched a lot of retreat centers, and most of them don't have what we need. They don't have single rooms, they don't have 2 rooms for one for meditation, one for reflection groups, or we have to provide our own cook, which is hard, which is a whole other thing too, a whole other challenge. This retreat really had what we needed. In-person retreats are deep silence, deep caring, deep wisdom. As a teacher, I was given special privileges. I got a standalone cabin. Everyone got a standalone cabin, but mine was larger and complete with comfortable queen bed, a kitchen, and a personal bathroom. Also, Linda and I were told we should go second in line, ahead of everybody, most everybody else in the meal lineups, second after the cleanup crew. That's practical. And so in one meditation, I started reflecting, why do I get all these privileges? I don't feel special, and I don't want to be revered. On the other hand, I thought, it does feel good as an acknowledgement of my decades of Dharma practice and my full commitment to teaching. So we were at a Tibetan retreat center that was built for intensive practice. It was built for a 3-year retreat that was then followed by a 1-year retreat. The retreatants who took it were cloistered and couldn't leave a fenced area for 3 years or 1 year, which felt out of sight for me. I couldn't imagine it. So I asked the retreat managers about the view on it, and I was told to fully learn the practices. Such a different path, and I respect it, but it's not my path. The retreat managers who are immersed in Tibetan Buddhism were very impressed by our practice, and in the middle went to the extent of pulling me aside and said, "We have something to learn from you." I was very curious. So at the end of the retreat, we met. And what I remember, it was we spoke for an hour really, was that we Tibetan Buddhists, we're always learning our practices, doing our chores. You seem to just be being. So that was curious. I never thought of it that way. And of course, Linda and I reflected upon this, and we thought maybe this is because our practice could be summed up as being with our experience, being with it, knowing it, being aware, reflecting upon it. It does lead to a kind of internal composure. And that perhaps that's what they were picking up on. That's certainly what feels wonderful to me. Our reflection groups are at the heart and the core of our practice. On retreat, we have 2 groups, each an hour, each day. And we get to hear from retreatants about their experience in meditation. And that is so different from the 10 minutes we'll have here today at our daily online. So now I'm going to quote what Linda said about the reflection groups. This was her last statement in the concluding Dharma talk, and the talk was on wisdom. And here's the quote. I heard people speaking the Dharma throughout the retreat, sacred circling wisdom groups, circling around the room. Yes, I agree. Reflection groups do seem like sacred circling wisdom groups. Each retreatant, or mostly of the time, or some of the time, expressing the Dharma through describing and understanding their experience. And we add on by questioning through the lens of the Dharma. Perhaps this is why it is such a labor of love to teach you, all of us, expressing the Dharma. I am grateful to you. I'm going to take a sabbatical from July 1 to August 11th. Recently, I had a series of medical challenges, none of them serious, each of them depleting. In a recent meditation, my body spoke to me, telling me I should take some time off from work. Now, I don't really perceive myself as having a self separate from my body that my body can speak to, though that is how it came to me in the meditation. I heard it as a form of wisdom. So I will be teaching on Wednesday and Sunday until the end of this month, and then I will be taking some time off from this daily online and from my other teaching and psychotherapy responsibilities. I'm looking forward to having a good time. So on that note, let's meditate. Welcome to anyone who's new with us today, and I mean it most sincerely. We really do welcome you. We love having new folks join us. So we'll meditate for 30 minutes. silently. I don't guide meditations, though if you have some, though, because I trust your internal guidance, or you can always check on some other guidance if you need it, online or whatever. But 30 minutes in silence, 10 minutes to reflect back on your meditation experience. And then we'll have 10 minutes for the group to come together. So please go ahead and turn off your video, and we can stop the recording.